A lot of great options on the table. It's always nice to see what Cold Steel has going. And we are going to be looking at some new fixed blades from Cold Steel.
Finally, a Spontoon Hawk that's actually drop forged. They try to copy it, but they can't really copy it.
How's it going, guys, and welcome to Knife Banter. Today we are in Lynn Thompson's personal library, and we're with the man himself, Lynn Thompson. How's it going?
Glad you're here.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone.
And we are going to be looking at some new fixed blades from Cold Steel, starting off with kind of an interesting replaceable blade system you guys have going on.
Right. This is a Andrew Dimko design. I wanted to work on a replaceable knife that had a super strong lock. I don't have an objection. In fact, I like the replaceable blade idea, but I don't like the weak, super weak, dangerous locking mechanisms that these knives have. So we came up with this click and cut, and the retaining or locking mechanism is based on the triad lock, and it's super fast and easy to change a blade. You see it like this. There's no struggle, there's nothing. You press this down, and you stick it right in.
Wow. That's great, because especially in hunting applications, we see there are a lot of companies that do a kind of a replaceable scalpel blade or a replaceable knife blade, and a lot of times I'm always worried that I'm going to cut my fingers, right? And so it's nice to see such a simple version of it.
It's a super reasonable fear, and we've tested so many of these knives, and we know how weak their locks are. And the last thing you want to be is in the way out back and cut the crap out of yourself.
Okay, I've cut myself.
And that's hard enough to deal with when you're near medical aid, but when you don't have it, it's very challenging.
Yeah.
So this comes with a drop point blade, and it comes with 2 utility blades. And the way we designed this sheath is you can carry your utility blades right in the sheath, and they snap right in there. Now, what I want the camera to see, and what everyone at home to see, these blades are twice as thick is what everybody else is offering. These are 1.5 millimeter thick blades. So they're very sturdy blades. They're replaceable. You can buy extras, or you can easily resharpen these at home and keep using them. I took this to Africa this year, and we field dressed and skinned a kudu with this knife. The whole thing. And we didn't sharpen it. And we went on to do another big animal. So this little blade holds its edge really well. I would dare say you could do 3 white-tailed deer in a row with it, wow, and you won't have to sharpen it.
Wow. That's awesome.
And it's got a nice sheath. The handle just snaps into there like that. It's going to be coming with a secondary retaining strap. Some of my customers work in unusual environments, or they're getting up and down, jumping here, jumping there, jumping off a platform. So I want this knife to stay with you and not pop out. And so we're also adding a retaining strap here. The next knife that's pretty cool this year is our drop forged Wasp dagger. It's entirely drop forged and nothing to break. And what I really like about it is the integral guards. The guard is so important, and when you have a separate guard on your handle, how you attach it, you have to be really careful and studious to do it right. Otherwise, it's going to loosen up and rattle and twist, and I hate that. I can't stand a loose guard. So this one gives you lots of protection from your hand going forward. I dare say it's very difficult in either grip for you to go over that guard and slide down on the blade. And it's got a stippled, dished handle here, and underneath this it's all skeletonized, so we got to get the weight out of it. This only weighs 8 ounces.
But, oh wow, yeah, because looking at it, it looks just like a chunk of steel, right? May I?
Yeah, it's super stiff.
It's surprising how light it actually is, knowing that it's skeletonized underneath, because I wouldn't have thought that just looking at it, right? Yeah.
And it's got a real sturdy but acute point.
Yeah.
So the point's very acute, but very strong. For a double-edged knife, well, yeah, it's pretty surprising.
And talking about the point, you guys should be able to see there just how thick that is, coming right up to the edge and then all the way up to that point there. So yeah, really neat.
How neat is that?
Really neat drop forward
So
dagger.
the long suit of this is obviously thrusting. You know, it kind of rough shaves. I got a few hairs off.
Yeah.
But with such a thick blade, you know, you're not. Its primary use is not slashing, but people can't grab it either.
Right.
That's why it's very sharp there. No one can just grab that thing. You give a slight tug and they're cut. So it's not, and also allows very easy, effortless penetration. And the sheath, I think, came out really good. You know, it's always a challenge to get a sheath that has the right balance between retention and being able to draw it. And I think we did that here. We have a good balance, and then of course we have the secondary safety strap for really rugged environments or when you're doing strenuous activities.
Yeah.
The next knife that is a new knife for us, brand new knife, is this SRK Compact. The SRK is an enormously popular knife. A lot of people have copied it, but it's not been emulated. They try to copy it, but they can't really copy it. And people asked us for a smaller one. And so I came up with a smaller one that apes the look of the SRK. It looks very, very, very similar, but in a smaller, lighter package.
When I say that, a challenge, a lot of times when you're taking a bigger knife and bringing it down to a smaller knife, the challenge is getting all of those elements from the bigger knife into the smaller knife, right? The design elements, the fit, the finish. A lot of times when people take a bigger knife and make it smaller, it ends up looking a little weird if you don't get it just balanced. And this, you can see there was obvious consideration given here because it does. It looks...
Feel that, Zach. I think you'll find that very comfortable in your hand.
It looks like an SRK-1, right? But obviously smaller. Yeah. And again, I mean, surprisingly light for how much knife you're getting out of it. Yeah.
And for people that want to do woodcraft stuff, this is an ideal knife. I mean, it's the size that people want and very, very strong, lightweight, and again, that full 4-finger handle, I mean, grip. You can really get a tremendous grip on it and a lot of control. And when it's in the sheath and you're wearing it, and this is on your belt, it doesn't look like you're carrying a giant knife, but you're carrying a lot of knife. Mm-hmm. Can do a lot of stuff.
Speaking of a lot of knife, this next one caught my eye. So a fully serrated bowie, or what would you call this?
This is our Marauder bowie.
Yeah.
And it's a new departure for us. That I tried this year to put a full serration on because serrations really increase your cutting power.
Yeah.
So this knife is now not for chopping. Don't go down and chop saplings and limbs and stuff like this. This knife is for cutting and thrusting, but it's ideally suited for cutting. It will cut like a chainsaw.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean those serrations through there, and they're almost, you've got like this kind of variated micro serration pattern, right? Yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So we did that. Some people use bigger serrations, but they tend to snag and grab. They're stronger maybe, but they don't cut as efficiently, we don't think.
Yeah.
So we use the smaller ones because we're interested in the depth of the cut.
Cool. Yeah, interesting design there. And then what do we have here?
This is a single edge version of our OS S, a single edge version. And it's got that taper ground, flat ground, if you will, blade, and a pretty sturdy but acute point. And this is for people that like the blade shape but don't want to carry a double edge, or they want the extra ruggedness. And you still have the reach and the piercing power and all those good things, but you don't have the double edge that draws sometimes unwanted attention.
Yeah. Well, and this takes it keeps it still in the same family of knives, right? But makes it also into a little bit, maybe more of a utility blade as well, right?
That's right. Let's put that one down. Oh. Yeah, that's good enough. And then this is our super popular Kobun, but we brought it back with the serrated edge this year. We've offered it with the serrated edge in the past, and customers keep asking me for the serrated edge. So again, I love you guys, and I listen to what you say. And you ask me, and I'll try to do it if it's in my power.
Now, something I think that's really interesting with this is you have that full serration here, and then up here you have the plain edge, right?
Right.
So you still have a little bit of that. Again, if you're opening boxes or you're doing whatever, or you're doing some fine work where you need a detail work, out on that point you have that ability with the serrations along the main body of it.
When you're using this for piercing, we don't want the serrated edges when they're hitting hard stuff to break off. So we have that chisel tip here. So this edge is very strong and can take impact even with bone and not break off. So that was the idea behind that.
Cool. Now, we have a lot of really neat fixed blades here, but when we came and we were kind of looking at the offerings, you also have some interesting tomahawks and axes and stuff. So we actually just had them down here, guys, because we know how much you guys love the secrets. So
Yeah, boy!
So here's some stuff with the tomahawks you have going. Let's take a look at these first, and then we'll pull these axes up.
As a lot of you know, I love tomahawks. I've done a whole video on how to fight with a tomahawk, and I've trained with a tomahawk. I use a tomahawk all the time, and I'm a big fan. But no one's made commercially in any quantity or in any semblance of quality a Spontoon tomahawk, a blade that's designed for piercing more than cutting. And so these are what we call our diamond blade and our knife blade Spontoons. And you'll see historical examples of these. There's a lot of them. Quite often they had a pipe in the back, and you can sharpen both edges. This is the primary bevel and the secondary bevel there. It comes to a cute but sturdy point. You can sharpen these yourself if you want to.
Because these come unsharpened from cold steel. Yeah.
But they've been ground and forged thin enough that you can sharpen them without, you couldn't even put them on any kind of a belt grinder or a bench grinder and even put an edge on them.
Yeah.
And then the pipe is faux, but this is heat treated, so you can use it as a hammer. And we have the diamond blade over here too. So these are all drop forged, and all this detail is forged in. All that detail is forged in. So I'm pretty happy with how our tooling and our forging came out. And the blades are straight, and I got all that detail. So they're good looking, and they're historically relevant as far as their looks go. There's many examples of this out here. So if you're a reenactor or you want a tomahawk like this, finally a Spontoon Hawk that's actually drop forged and made in real quality. So that's you can really go out and use it.
And then these axes caught my eye that you had up on the table there. These have kind of a different style of replaceable head on them.
Yeah, this is our we call it our clamp lock mechanism. We're still working on a final name for it, but it allows you to unbolt the head and change handles in like a couple minutes.
Cool.
I mean, with practice, you could probably do it in 3 or 4 minutes or less. And you don't need any special tools or anything. You just unbolt it, stick it on the new handle, bolt it back together again. So when you're throwing, this is a fast change handle, and it's also very strong because we can use a straight untapered piece of wood that doesn't have a step down or anything like that will give you a stress riser. So we can actually make the handle stronger. And we're using hickory for these handles. All these handles are hickory. And we made this primarily for the axe throwing clubs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And for people that throw a lot, because when you're throwing your hatchets again and again, especially in lanes, people are going to break them. And this is a fast change handle system. It costs a little bit more, but it's very, very convenient. You'll really come to appreciate this. And also, this mechanism gives us twice the pull-off strength. There's standard industry tests that they immobilize this and they pull the handle off to see how much force it does. This takes twice as much as our industry standards. So we also have it in the Hudson Bay axe version. So Andrew Demko and I are both big fans of this axe pattern. It is very forgiving, and that'll do a lot of different things. You can fell trees with it. You can use it as a survival or camp axe. It's just a great all-around axe style, and it's been proven for 100, 200 years in the vast Hudson Bay. This has been used by indigenous people and trappers and settlers there as their primary tool and it's really proved its worth. So it's a very good style axe. Comes with a beautiful hickory handle and this clamp mechanism. So if you break your handle, no matter where you're at, you can quickly change it out or improvise a new handle. You can take a board off a pallet and make a new handle for this thing.
Right.
If you've got a pocket knife, you can do it in just a few minutes and get something good enough to complete your task.
Get the job done.
So there's nowhere that you can't find wood. Most places you can find some kind of piece of wood that you can improvise a handle.
Yeah. Well, and that was something that caught my attention is I've worked with axes here or there, and sometimes that head gets loose and you take a nail or you take a whatever and you kind of wedge it in there. But you're always worried about that head coming off while you're working. So it's cool to see something that in the field you could change out fairly quickly. So.
Yeah, in the Bible they had those cities of refuge that people could run to if you accidentally killed your neighbor when your axe head came off and smashed him in the head and killed him, and his relatives think that you did him in on purpose. You could run there and hide. And one of the things they mentioned was if your axe head came off.
Right.
So it's been an age-old problem, and I think about it too, that axe head coming off. And also, I've been in a lot of places where there's not a store to go buy a new handle, and I know that I can cut a sapling down and make an improvised handle very shortly and be back in business.
Yeah, cool. Well, a lot of great options on the table. It's always nice to see what Cold Steel has going with fixed blades. It was fun to throw in a couple axes and these new tomahawks you guys are doing. Thanks so much for having us on.
Glad you're here.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
And thank you guys for following along. Make sure to hit subscribe and hit the notification bell down below. Check out the other Cold Steel videos that we have going. Most of them should be out around now, but if not, keep your eyes peeled. We're here at Cold Steel doing some fun stuff, and we'll catch you on the next one.
All right, guys, thanks for watching that video. Make sure to hit subscribe for more awesome knife content. Check out the website for sweet knives. We've got a playlist over here with something incredible in it and a bunch of rad pictures.